Welcome to Restorative Yoga. You know, one of the benefits of a restorative practice is that it can help us to feel less anxious, right? To feel more calm and more settled. And I want you to feel that in all of these poses today, that you're feeling comfortable and settled and more at ease. All right, let's just gather up some props so we'll be all ready when the time comes. You'll need to have a bolster today, or if you don't have a bolster, you could use some pillows or a couch cushion. That could work quite nicely. And then you'll also need some blocks. So I'm actually going to use 4 blocks in the practice today. I think you can make do if you have 3 blocks, but if you don't have that many blocks, see if you can grab an extra pillow or a couple of extra blankets. And then you'll need at least 1 blanket tonight, and I might suggest that you have 2. By default, I always just have 3 lying around, but you'll definitely need 1. Take a good seat. It could be cross-legged or kneeling. Set up the seat in a way that feels workable, but also in a seat where it feels like you can just pay a little closer attention to yourself. And then you could rest your hands in one of 2 ways. So my favorite way is this gesture that's called the cosmic mudra. It's where you take the tip of your left fingertips and place it at the root of your right fingertips. And then you curl your fingers and your hands in kind of like you're making a little bowl. Bring your thumbs almost to touch, but not quite. So if that feels nice for your shoulders, if that feels good and supportive for your arms, you can stay there. If you prefer, you could do the mudra of calm abiding, where you place your palms flat down on the front of your thighs. So test them both out and find the one you like. And then close your eyes. In the times when we're feeling a little amped up, we're feeling like a mind is on that little hamster wheel that it often gets onto. The practice of restorative yoga gives us an opportunity to rest and to land, to bring the anxious and spiraled up mind into a quieter and steadier place. Sometimes we use a meditation practice for this, right? Really working and manipulating the mind itself. But in a restorative yoga practice, we're coming at this idea of restfulness through the body. In addition to using lots of props and holding poses for a while, the premise here is that if we can make our bodies comfortable, whatever that means for us, if we can be comfortable and settled with less work in body, that our mind will be encouraged to follow. Join your palms together here in front of your heart. It's a gesture of intention setting. My intention is for this practice to help us calm our anxious nerves. But there's always room for an intention that feels personal and meaningful to you. Set an intention here for the kinds of qualities you're cultivating. Set an intention for how this practice might nourish you. When we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy behind our individual intentions and put that energy into the sound that's expansive and comprehensive. The sound of Om is said to contain all of the vibrations of everything in the universe. Singing Om is a way for us not just to share our energy, but to connect in an honor-filled way to the wisdom and the ritual and the traditions of this practice. Please add your voice to mine or just listen with your whole attention. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. Release your hands into your lap. And keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. All right, let's set up some props for our first restorative posture. I'm going to use all 4 of the blocks that I've collected. So I'd like to show you what this looks like if you have 4 blocks, and then I'll show you some adaptations if you don't have quite as many props. So I'm just going to set these blocks up in a row on the mat. So 3 of them are kind of closer together, and then there's one that's like a little bit offset. You can see there's this kind of gap in between this one block and these other 3. Then on top of this comes the bolster. So I'm basically setting up like a little shelf here with blocks and bolster. So that's what the setup would look like if you have enough props to do this. If you only have 2 blocks, for example, then I would recommend that you take away that middle block. So if you've only got 2 blocks, then your setup looks like 2 blocks with a bolster on top, and then a blanket or a small pillow where that other block had been. So this whole setup might look like this for you: blanket, bolster with 2 blocks. You can also do this with your bed pillows or your couch cushion, right? You want to pile them up so you've got this one sort of rectangular shape main support for the pose. Okay, so once you have all of that set up, then position yourself so that you can lie down on this bolster with your belly down. So we're doing a supported version of a frog pose. So as you come into this posture, separate your knees so that your knees are resting on the floor. And then in this little gap, that's the place for your face. And you can turn the block to the side that makes sense for you so that the block can support your forehead, or maybe your blanket would do this. So there's a couple things about getting propped up this high, right? One of the things that's another one of those hallmarks of restorative yoga is that there's not a stretch in your body. So if you're able to prop yourself up high enough that you can pull your knees in close enough to remove the stretch on inner thighs, then you're doing this right. Of course, there is this one big downside. For some folks, lying belly down feels less settling and more anxious. So I have something for you as well. If you find that lying down on your belly in this shape is not accommodating whatever anxious feeling, it might even be increasing it, then you're going to come onto your back for this one. So the alternative to this posture is that you'll use the bolster as kind of like a pillow to hug. And so the alternative to this posture looks like this, with bolster kind of hugged into your belly. And of course you could put something under your head. You could do this with legs straight. The game here in general is that the bolster is meant to be in contact with the whole front of your body. So it's whether you're lying on your back or you're choosing that belly down option. So take your time to set up in the way that will feel the most settling and soothing for you. You can absolutely use a blanket over the back of your body. You might add some padding under your knees and your shins. Right? The essential question of this practice is what feels comfortable, what feels soothing and settling in your body right now in this moment today. This is something we play around with in restorative practice all the time, and it's how can you adjust your body to create comfort without fidgeting? And part of that comes with a little bit of patience. Maybe you have to take an extra breath. Because we'll be in this posture for some time, there's no rush to get it settled right away. So if something starts to feel uncomfortable, just rest with it for a second before you respond. And as you start to get more settled into the shape, close your eyes. Not only is there an invitation to settle into the pose, there's an invitation to settle into the breath. Use every exhalation to get softer and heavier. You'll know that you're propped up well if you relax and the props continue to support you. If you start to relax and your props are sliding or sagging,
or making you feel a stretch, add some more things. Put more blankets or another pillow. Take one really purposeful breath here. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. We'll stay in the stillness of this pose for several minutes. But please know that you're not stuck. We'll cultivate stillness, but you always have permission to shift and adjust and attend to the comfort of your body as needed. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. There's still no urgency here. In fact, take your time to gather up your mind. Take your time to prepare to move your body. First, slide your hands into a position where you can use your hands to help push your body off of the bolster. Next, reposition your legs. Organize your legs so that they're straight back behind you, reaching your knees down to the floor instead of out to the sides, but straight back off the end of the bolster. Lift your head off of the block. Use your hands to push your torso away. Shift back into a child's pose. Drop your hips back to your heels. You can rest your head on the end of your bolster here. Just for a moment. We're not here for long, just as a transition. Inhale here. And exhale. And slowly press your torso up away from your thighs. Swing your legs around to come into a seated position. Close your eyes as you get back into your seat. Just notice the impact of the pose you were practicing. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Adjust the position of your props for your next pose. Move your blocks off to the side and out of your way. And just place the bolster flat onto the mat. You'll need a pillow for your head here, whether that's a small throw pillow or just your folded blanket, and put that at the end of your bolster. You might also find that it's helpful to have some extra soft props nearby. You might need them for your arms, and it's also a good place to gather up a blanket for a little weight and for warmth. Position yourself so that your left hip is next to the end of the bolster, and line up here so the side seam of your shirt is running parallel with the center line of the bolster or of your pillows. Your legs here are staggered, not stacked. Think maybe like a side saddle kind of position. Lift up just a little bit taller through your spine. From that place of length, turn your chest, rib cage to face the bolster. Frame the bolster with your hands, one on either side, and then fold down so that it's the front left side of your body that's supported by the bolster. Rest your left cheek on the blanket or on your pillow. This arm that's in front of you, if it's not hitting the floor comfortably, add a blanket under there so that it's not straining or stretching to reach the floor, but instead it finds a soft landing. The place for the blanket on your body here could be just across your legs or perhaps across the midsection of your body. It can help us feel more settled and less anxious. If there's just a little weight across the middle of the body, maybe from ribs to hips, you can play around with that and see how that feels. If your toes are cold, you should definitely cover those up or add some socks as well. Once you find your settled place, close your eyes. Again, we're looking for a way to land in stillness in our poses, but you're never stuck. If you find that your pose is amping you up, making you feel more anxious instead of less anxious, that's a sign that something's not quite right.
You might need to adjust your props or reapproach your pose from a slightly different angle. What will make you feel comfortable and settled right here? That's the only question for this practice tonight.
gather up your attention from wherever your mind might have been. There's still no rush. Notice whatever there is to notice. Then slide your hands back, palms against the floor, into a position where you can use your arms. Push your whole body up away from the bolster. And come back into your cross-legged seat. Close your eyes as you arrive in your seated position. Feel the impact of the pose you were just practicing. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. To do the second side of that pose, you just need to turn your body so that your right hip will be next to the bolster. Just as you set up on the first side, organize so that your right hip is lined up just against the prop, and set up so the side seam of your shirt is running parallel with the middle of the bolster. Sit just a little bit taller, and as you turn your ribs, frame the bolster with your hands and recline over the prop, letting the right side of the front of your chest rest against the bolster. Turn your head so that your right cheek is resting on the blanket. If you find your front arm is not hitting the floor comfortably, add a prop, a blanket, or something soft where that arm can land. Even if you're not feeling cold, it can be nice to have a blanket over your body. Just the weight of that extra layer can make you feel more settled. Of course, if you're finding that you're cold, you can add as many blankets as you like. Even put on your socks for this practice. As you get settled into this gentle twisting pose, close your eyes and rest. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. There's still no rush. Take your time to gather your mind back into this moment. Reposition your hands into a place where they can support you. And then pressing your palms into the floor. Guide your torso upright. Back into your seated position. Close your eyes as you get back into your seat. Feel the impact of that pose you've just been practicing. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Keeping your gaze soft. Blink open your eyes. I have something specific in mind for the support for your head for this last posture. Please take one of your blankets and fold it so it's in this size of a rectangle. You should have one end, the long edge, when you're in this rectangle, that has the fringes if you have a fringed blanket. And then just take a look at the sides of the blanket. So on one side of the blanket, you'll have these kind of loose edges. My sewing friends tell me that's called the selvage edge. The other side of the blanket will be all folded. So fold this over one more time so that those selvage edge, those loose edges of the blanket are on top. And you'll end up making this bit of a stair step here from these fringes edges down to the folded ones. This is the blanket that will support your head. In this case, the rounded portion of the blanket will be above your head and the stair steps will come down to support your neck and your shoulders. You can position that at whichever end of the mat you'd like to place your head towards. Then take two of your blankets, or of your blocks that is, or perhaps three if you have three, and set your blocks up on the middle side. So I'm going to use the three of my blocks, that is, to make an H shape. So I've got all in the middle height, 2 blocks parallel, and 1 forming the crosshatch of the H. If you don't have 3 blocks, you just take that middle one away, and then you've got your 2 blocks, and that will work. Position the bolster on top, parallel to the short edge of your yoga mat. This setup is to support your legs. As you come to lie down here, position your calves on the bolster so that the edge of the bolster, the front edge of the bolster, is coming back to support the back of your knees. You're aiming to get thighs to run parallel to the mat here. And then as you lie back, position your blanket in such a way that that stair-stepped edge will come down to fill up the space behind the back of your neck. It's also a good time where you can tuck the blanket in around your ears, kind of like you're making a bumper or a hood around your head. Take one of your blankets and place it across your belly again for weight, for warmth. If you're finding that your feet are cold, it's a good place to add another blanket to cover your body, your legs, and your toes. You can do one of two things with your hands. You could rest your hands on your belly. You can even tuck your hands under the blanket if that feels nice to keep everything contained. Or you're welcome to put your arms out to the sides, and that might look like palms flipped up, hands resting on the pinky side, or palms turned down. Please choose the hand position that makes your arms feel the most comfortable. Let your legs relax, drifting and draping out to the sides. Close your eyes.
And settle into this Shavasana shape that we sometimes call Stonehenge. Aim for stillness and comfort in the body. But when comfort is the priority, give up the stillness and adjust in whatever way is required. We'll rest in the quiet and the stillness of this pose for many minutes. With every exhale, relax more completely. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Notice whatever there is to notice about this moment. Moving slowly, gather up your legs and bend your knees to bring your legs in towards your chest. Roll over onto your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Use the support of your hands to guide your body up into a seated position. And close your eyes as you come into your seat. Does this seated position feel different than when we started? Please join your palms together in front of your heart. We'll close our time together in the same way that we began, singing the sound of Om. We sing as a way to connect our energy and our intentions. We also sing to connect to the wisdom, the tradition, and the rituals of yoga. Sing with me or just listen. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. With a wish for peace in all of its forms, for all beings everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Peace, peace, peace.